Sunday night, in the quiet of my home, the sound of the TV echoed through the room. It was the usual scene coming from my husband's room. And there was only one reason: his love for historical dramas. Everyone in the family knew that this was his non-negotiable time. But I had reached my limit. My daughter's wedding was just around the corner. While the whole house was busy preparing, my husband was sitting in front of his TV, completely absorbed in his drama, as usual. Tears welled up in my daughter's eyes, worried that he might not even attend the wedding. My heart ached watching her, and I made up my mind. He is going to your wedding, and I will make sure he regrets it. I'm Karen, a 50-year-old working mother. I've been married to my husband, a businessman, for 25 years. We have one daughter, Madeline, and I always thought we were just an ordinary family. But over the years, my world slowly lost its color because of my husband's indifference. It all started when our daughter entered kindergarten. On the day of her first sports event, I said to my husband, "Let's go together." But as always, he was sunk deep into the couch, glued to the TV.
It's the climax of my historical drama today.
He said it so casually, like it was nothing. The fact that he cared more about the ending of a historical show than his daughter's big day felt like a cold blade piercing my heart. I wanted us to share these moments of our daughter's growth, but that wish never reached him. And this happened again and again. Her first recital, sports events, birthday parties. Each time, I swallowed my pain, never blaming him. Maybe he was just too overwhelmed with work, I told myself. So I raised our daughter alone, making excuses for him. But as she grew up, my frustration turned into anger. He was living just for his own enjoyment. Did he even love his family? That question haunted me constantly. One day, my daughter asked me,
"Mom, why is Dad always watching TV?"
Her innocent question left me speechless. And at that moment, I realized something. His indifference wasn't just hurting me, it was leaving scars on our daughter too. It all started during our honeymoon in Boston. While strolling through the historic streets, we stumbled upon period drama filming. The actors in elaborate costumes, the perfectly recreated old-town scenery, it was breathtaking. But my husband was captivated by something else. The intensity of the set, the focused expressions of the staff, the passion of the actors bringing history to life. It all struck a deep chord in him.
It takes so many people to create one masterpiece. History is incredible.
That day, something awakened in him. On our way back home, he said,
One day, I want to make a show like that.
From then on, he devoured history books and watched historical dramas nonstop. Especially those grand-scale, historically accurate dramas, he couldn't get enough. Never did I imagine he'd become such an obsessive fan. We first met in college, in a history club. I loved historical novels and studied ancient history. He was more into medieval history and could go on for hours about famous war heroes. One night at the club gathering, he asked me,
Which do you prefer, The Great Gatsby or Gone with the Wind?
I was overwhelmed by his passion, but I answered his question. From there, we got into all kinds of historical discussions, and before we knew it, we had gotten to know each other. He was incredibly knowledgeable about history and taught me so much. For example, I learned about the romantic relationships of nobles, things I had never known before. Listening to him talk, I felt like I was being drawn into the world of history. And before I knew it, studying history with him became something I truly enjoyed. Even after graduation, we kept in touch, occasionally reading history books together or visiting museums. Even after we got married, his passion for history only grew stronger, and eventually, he became completely obsessed with historical dramas. Historical dramas hold a special place in American television history. The 1965 drama about the life of William Penn was groundbreaking for its use of historical facts and real-life filming locations. As the U.S. experienced rapid economic growth, these historical dramas became a beloved form of entertainment. Famous figures like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and even classic American literature were frequently adapted into major productions, creating national buzz. My husband's love for historical dramas soon led him to join a fan club. In the club, members shared their thoughts on episodes, watched together, and even exchanged recorded tapes. Since my husband spent all his time at home outside of work, I thought it was fine for him to have a hobby. But when he started going out every weekend, I began to worry about how little time he was spending with the family. He became indifferent to our daughter's events, prioritizing his fan club meetings over school activities held on weekends. I remember thinking, this is just too much. Our daughter's big moments won't last forever. Can't you skip the club for once? When I pressed him, he started making excuses. We need a certain number of people to rent out the screening venue. I was chosen as the team leader this time, so I have a responsibility. But our daughter's event was planned first. Can't you do something about it?
I can't help it. Thanks to this club, I've made business connections. Even my last bonus was partly because of it. So stop nagging me over something this small.
Tying it back to work left me at a loss for words. After all, school events happen only a handful of times in a lifetime. We both worked. At first, we split the chores. Weekdays were my responsibility, and weekends were his. But once he started going out on weekends, he began neglecting his share.
Hey, the school play is next week. I've been practicing so hard every day. I really want you to come.
Our daughter pleaded with him.
Yeah, but the club is important too. Your mom will be there, and she'll take photos and videos, so I can watch them later.
Wait, so you're not coming?
Come on, having a dad who knows a lot about history and is successful at work is something to be proud of. I'm trying to be a cool dad.
If you really want to be a cool dad, start by putting your family first when making plans. I was beyond frustrated with my husband's complete lack of interest in attending our daughter's school play. That night, after our daughter had gone to bed, I confronted him in anger. Enough already. I'm not saying you have to quit your club, but there's a limit to how much time you can spend on your hobby. Don't you see how lonely she feels? You only get to see your child grow up once.
What's the big deal? Can I enjoy my own life? Just because I have a family, does that mean I have to give up everything? I have stress too, you know.
And what about my stress from handling all the housework and childcare on top of your share?
Oh, come on. Keeping the family together is a wife's job. Stop acting like a victim. You knew what you were signing up for when you had a kid. Don't dump your responsibilities on me. I don't want to hear any more of this nonsense.
With that, he stormed out of the room. He does whatever he wants, but expects me to just take care of the household. It's so unfair and self-serving. I felt a surge of rage, and the word divorce almost slipped out of my mouth. I had thought about it before, more than once. But actually going through with it would mean negotiating with a man who refuses to listen. There would be child custody issues, moving arrangements, so much to sort out. Even if I got custody, could I manage financially? He made more money than I did, and putting our daughter through college on my salary alone would be a huge challenge. Could I even get proper child support from him? The thought of handling all this kept me up at night. Meanwhile, my husband's obsession with historical dramas kept getting worse, and he started going on club trips every weekend.
You probably enjoy it more when I'm not around.
That's how he justified it, but let's be real, traveling every single weekend is not normal. What kind of club even does this?
You're so annoying. Stop questioning my hobbies.
And just like that, he would leave without a second thought. Time passed, and our daughter grew up and got engaged. My husband showed no interest in our daughter's engagement at all, shutting himself away in his room like a drama protagonist, retreating from the world, only leaving for his club activities.
I'm the one getting married. Can't he at least be a little happy for me?
My daughter, wearing the wedding dress she had dreamed of since childhood, gazed at her reflection in the mirror over and over again.
Dad, can't you look at me instead of history?
Her quiet words pierced my heart. As the wedding day approached, I was exhausted from lack of sleep and filled with rage toward my husband. What is wrong with him? I knocked on his door again and again, but there was no answer. He had been locked in his room since yesterday, completely absorbed in his drama. I stood in front of the door and took a deep breath. My heart pounded like a drum. I knocked again, harder this time. The dull sound of my frustration echoed through the hallway. As usual, no response. While we were all busy preparing for our daughter's wedding, my husband shut himself away in his room like a warlord from a historical drama, as if he were one of the characters. How can you be lost in a TV drama when your daughter is about to get married? What kind of person does that? I nearly kicked the door in frustration, but forced myself to stop. But I quickly suppressed the urge. I took a deep breath and pressed my ear against the door once more. All I could hear was the TV and his low voice. It sounded like he was talking to the characters on screen.
I hate my wife, my daughter, and my country relatives. Let's leave this world together, my love.
Hearing those ridiculous words from his mouth, I lost all hope. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to explode. Our daughter was at the most beautiful moment of her life, yet he refused to be there for it. I felt like my heart was about to shatter into 1,000 pieces. Why does he make his own family feel so abandoned? I deliberately asked loud enough for him to hear, but there was no response. Only the passage of time continued to cut into my heart. The clock hands moved relentlessly, and dawn was approaching. I lay down on the bed, but I couldn't sleep. At this rate, he was bound to cancel his attendance at the wedding at the last minute. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to talk to someone. The next day, I picked up the phone and called her. It was his grandmother, Kathy, who had raised him. My husband lost his parents in a car accident when he was in elementary school and was raised by his maternal grandmother. And when it came to her, my husband never disobeyed. Over the phone, she fumed. How could he be drowning himself in historical dramas when his daughter's wedding is right around the corner? I'll teach him a lesson. Seeing her so furious gave me a glimmer of hope. If anyone could get through to him, it was the woman who had raised him. Without hesitation, she came over to our house. Despite her usual strict demeanor, there was a hint of amusement in her eyes that reassured me.
I've got an idea. We're going to drag him into history.
Huh? I leaned in to listen. What do you mean? She gave me a sly smile. Her plan was to expose his twisted obsession with historical dramas in front of all the wedding guests. She knew that my husband loved nothing more than showing off his extensive historical knowledge in front of people. If we dangled that opportunity at the reception, he would undoubtedly show up. And once he started talking about his favorite subjects, he could easily go on for over 3 hours. Just like a drama protagonist uniting the country in the final episode, he would passionately praise historical dramas, eventually getting so carried away that he'd even start reenacting scenes. The guests, overwhelmed by his bizarre behavior, would inevitably start leaving one by one. Once he saw people walking out on him, he would finally realize how foolish he had been. I feel bad for Madeline, but unless he experiences that kind of humiliation, he'll never wake up. I resolved to go along with her plan. And then, the wedding day arrived. As expected, my husband locked himself in his room, immersed in his historical dramas, and flat out declared that he wouldn't attend. All right, time to execute the plan. Kathy and I burst into my husband's room with the force of kicking down the door, shouting, "It's time for battle. A commander who hides in his castle can't win a war."
What the hell?
My husband was caught completely off guard. I said, "Get moving. You're going to show off your warrior spirit at the reception."
Fine. I shall ride into battle.
Without realizing it was a trap, he agreed to attend, eager for the chance to flaunt his love for historical dramas. At the reception, about 100 guests gathered, mostly family members of the bride and groom. I felt bad, but we had my daughter wear a bold, multi-layered gown styled after a noblewoman's robes from centuries ago. Meanwhile, my husband arrived with a huge grin. As he entered, the theme song of his favorite historical drama played.
I am Abraham Lincoln.
He declared, striking a dramatic pose. The venue fell silent at the absurd scene, his outfit, the era, the theme, all completely mismatched. He marched down the aisle, banging on a drum.
Everyone.
His ridiculous antics caused a stir among the guests.
Thank you all for listening. I am the bride's father. I am honored to host such a grand celebration today. Now, I'd like to take this opportunity to explain the fascinating aspects of history as seen through historical dramas, my passion. What I am about to share is the tale of a young hero.
My husband began his wedding speech like a narrator from a historical drama. And the speech went on and on. After nearly 2 hours of his unbearably dull monologue, the guests started exchanging confused glances, murmuring among themselves. Then, one by one, they began leaving. Just then,
You're making a fool of yourself, basking in your own glory while ignoring your guests. I'll put an end to this nonsense.
a loud voice boomed across the hall. It was Kathy, my husband's grandmother. She stood there in a traditional robe. It was a brilliant act to entertain the weary guests who had been suffering through my husband's pointless rambling. Her commanding presence was like a historical drama heroine.
Oh well, this is quite.
My husband, who had been enjoying himself, was now completely thrown off by Kathy's intensity, stumbling over his words.
This is your punishment.
With that, Kathy snatched the drum and drumsticks from him.
The drum.
My husband was too stunned to understand what was happening. Then Kathy began pounding the drum right next to his ear with all her might.
Boom, 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 boom.
The thunderous sound echoed through the hall.
Now, this is what a real victory drum sounds like.
She played masterfully, wielding the drumsticks with precision. The booming sound seemed to shake my husband's very core, making his head spin.
Enough. Please stop. I'm sorry.
At last, my husband surrendered.
Your daughter's wedding is more important than your ridiculous fantasies of conquest.
With that, Kathy smacked him on the head with a drumstick.
Ouch.
Finally, he seemed to snap back to reality, sitting there sulking like a scolded child. But even this punishment wasn't enough to break his twisted obsession with historical dramas. As soon as the wedding was over, he threw himself back into his club activities. Frustrated, I decided to investigate this so-called historical drama club while he was out. As I searched through his things, I found a borrowed videotape he had left behind at home. The label had the club's name on it, so I looked it up online and found their official website. The organizer's social media account was listed as a contact, so I checked it out. There were plenty of pictures of my husband and other club members, but oddly enough, none of them showed any actual screenings. There were many posts mentioning fun after parties following the screenings, often decorated with heart emojis. This had to be a singles meetup group disguised as a historical drama club. I was too stunned to speak. Abandoning his family to chase after young women, my husband's disgraceful behavior filled me with rage. But what caught my attention the most was a recent photo I found on social media. The same woman appeared in multiple pictures, always close to my husband. As I dug deeper, I found both my husband's and this woman's accounts. My husband wasn't using his real name, but his profile picture, his back turned, was unmistakably him. He had been liking her posts non-stop and leaving ridiculous comments like, "Your new haircut was cute, but this outfit looks amazing on you too, my princess." Inside the bag that held the recorded video, I also found a hotel receipt labeled couples discount. Not only was he neglecting his family, but he was also likely cheating. I wanted to find out exactly how my husband was spending his weekends, so I consulted my grandmother, who introduced me to a well-known private investigator. According to the detective, my husband had been pretending to be single at the club and had been spending the night at a hotel with that woman every weekend. After hiring the investigator, I started staying at my parents' house on weekends. One day when I returned home, I found my husband drinking in the living room.
Where the hell have you been, leaving me all alone?
Didn't you say you preferred being by yourself? I'm going to start living at my parents' house from now on.
What? A wife's job is to support her husband. You should be putting me first.
I ignored my husband's yelling and walked out of the house. I was certain he wouldn't come near my parents' home since he was terrified of my strict father. No matter what hardships lay ahead, I was determined to get through them and divorce this idiot husband. A week after I left home, my husband called me nonstop every day. Eventually, I got fed up and answered out of sheer annoyance.
Finally, you picked up. Looks like you've come to your senses. Isn't it about time you came home? I'll forgive you. Out of the kindness.
What kind of nonsense are you talking about? His usual condescending tone made my blood boil. I have no reason to go back.
Are you seriously refusing when I'm telling you to come home?
And why exactly should I obey you?
Because I'm the head of this household. It's only natural. If you want listen, I'll have you executed.
You call yourself the head of the household, but I haven't seen any money deposited into our account. Want me to send you a photo of the bank statement?
No, I transferred the money. Stop making baseless accusations.
Oh, then we'll need to take this up with the bank and demand an investigation.
Wait, no. That won't be necessary.
Realizing he had been caught skipping the deposit, my husband started panicking.
Well, you see, I've had a lot of expenses lately. That's all. Anyway, you can come back anytime.
He rushed through his words and abruptly hung up. Hearing him stumble over his excuses was hilarious. The investigation revealed that the woman he was cheating with was single and living with her parents. If she was meeting up with my husband, they obviously needed a place, and if he was booking hotels, it was no wonder he was running out of money. Another week later, my husband started calling me frantically again.
Hey, because of you, I'm dealing with a huge misunderstanding. Fix this now.
What are you talking about?
The neighbors are spreading weird rumors that we got divorced.
Apparently, people in the neighborhood had noticed my absence and started asking questions.
My wife just went to visit her parents for a bit. No big deal.
That was the excuse he had given, but since we lived in a company-owned apartment complex, rumors spread like wildfire. Now people were saying we were on the verge of divorce or already divorced.
Go around and tell everyone nothing is wrong.
Unable to handle the gossip, he was now trying to blame me. No worries, I already explained everything to them. I told them I won't be living with you anymore.
Why would you say something like that?
My husband was panicking now that his lie had been exposed. The rumor had already spread beyond just the neighborhood. It had reached the wife of his boss. I was sure he was getting plenty of judgmental stares from his coworkers. Serves him right. You only ever care about your own room, but have you checked mine? When I asked him, he scoffed, "Huh, why would I even do that?" Reluctantly stepping into my room, he was left speechless by what he saw.
Wait, what the hell? There's nothing here.
I already moved everything out.
No way.
He must have been so shocked that he dropped his phone, and with a loud thud, the call was disconnected. 3 days later, at night, I was watching our home from the apartment next door with someone I had planned this with.
Welcome. I'm so happy you came.
I can't believe you actually invited me to your place.
Thinking it was safe at night, my husband had brought his mistress home.
I missed you so much. I just want to marry you as soon as possible. I'll give you all my love.
As he whispered his nauseating words, she slowly leaned in toward him. Just then, "Oh no, an intruder has broken in!" I shouted as I walked through the door.
What? Why are you here?
My husband was so startled that he flailed around, breaking into a bizarre dance. It was the same pathetic dance he had performed at our daughter's wedding. "Oh, and who might this be?" When I asked, my husband quickly blurted out, she's the intruder. Hurry, catch her, and call the police." Desperate to get out of the situation, he scrambled for an excuse. But before he could dig himself any deeper, the woman lost it.
You told me you'd give me all your love. And now this? How dare you call me an intruder after inviting me here?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Before he could run from his own words, she pointed at the camera next to the TV and smirked. "You do know that camera caught everything, right?"
What?
His already foolish expression turned even dumber. She pointed at the camera set up next to the TV and grinned.
You two were in on this. You set me up.
"Oh my, so you actually know this so-called intruder?" "Well, that doesn't really matter. I can check all the footage from this camera on my phone. I heard every single cringeworthy sweet line you just fed her. But if you have an explanation, I'm all ears."
No, I got nothing.
Watching him panic, the woman burst out laughing.
Should we tell him now?
"Sorry for taking so long to show up."
Seriously, it was hard keeping a straight face while listening to all those cheesy lines.
Seeing both of us laughing hysterically, my husband turned pale and froze.
Wait, you two know each other?
Not understanding the situation, he kept glancing back and forth between us, confused. "She's your mistress, right? From your little drama club." Taking my cue, the woman explained.
I was stupid enough to believe you when you said you were single. I sincerely apologized to her.
What? What is happening?
Still unable to process anything, he just stood there in shock. I then pulled out all the evidence I had gathered, pictures of the two of them together, among other proof of his affair. "So, still planning to play dumb?"
I'm sorry. Please, forgive me. Have mercy on me as a warrior would.
Finally realizing there was no way out, my husband broke down in tears, dropping to his knees.
I was wrong. I want to stay with you.
Apparently, he had learned proper kneeling posture from his historical dramas. It was almost impressive. Not a chance. Here, divorce papers and a financial settlement bill. Quit struggling and sign it. Finally, he picked up the pen and signed as I commanded. As for the woman, I saw her as a victim too. I wasn't going to ask for anything from her, but she was serious about making amends and insisted I take compensation to mark the end of it. My husband had lied to her, saying he was in a serious relationship with marriage in mind. Because of that, she demanded a small settlement from him, which she then handed over to me. The divorce was finalized, and the settlement and child support were paid all at once from his savings and loans. His grandmother, who had raised him, along with other relatives, chewed him out thoroughly. He was kicked out of the company's family housing and forced to move into a tiny apartment for single tenants. Though he still worked at the company to pay off his debt, he kept making mistakes and was demoted. A few years later, my ex-husband suddenly sent me an email.
How have you been? Lately, I keep remembering all the things we went through. Doing housework is tough, and nights feel so lonely. I still regret that you couldn't fulfill your duty as my wife. But if you're up for it, I might be willing to give you another chance.
His ridiculous Romeo-style email, combined with his usual condescending tone, left me speechless. I read the email with my daughter and her husband, who were visiting my parents' house, and we all burst into laughter. Until when you would be foolish like that? I sent that reply and immediately blocked his email. Later, I heard that my ex-husband had been arrested for trespassing at a film studio. And the way he got caught was absolutely hilarious. He had sneaked into the props warehouse, put on a ridiculous feudal lord's wig and white painted costume, and was standing there admiring himself while holding a folding fan. Truly an idiot. Free from his control, I felt like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon, spreading its wings into a new life. A well-timed midlife divorce. It wasn't an easy decision, but I can still vividly remember the overwhelming relief of breaking free from that suffocating life. After the divorce, I focused on my career and found more time for hobbies. But above all, the best part was being able to spend more time with my daughter. Weekends became our tradition for taking my parents on short trips to beautiful scenic places. During our last trip, my daughter and I did the barbecue under the night sky. Gazing at the countless stars, she turned to me with a smile and said, "Mom, I'm so glad you look happy now." Her words touched my heart deeply. It felt like I had finally come out of a long, dark tunnel and stepped into the light. Now that I can do what I truly want, I realize I am finally happy.